Hello, everyone. Let me just. Hello. I don't know if it hadn't done it before. Hadn't. What am I saying? I said hello, and then I don't actually know if the live has started. Anyway, I'll wait a little bit for some people to join. Just for if you're watching the videos afterwards, and if maybe you can't make the lives, I do plan to do like the normal videos again alongside the lives. It's just I think at the moment I've been kind of wanting to do the lives and then maybe either not having time or not wanting to like just just not wanting to do another video basically. And then because I don't want to do another video, or because like for whatever reason, like time or doing other things, or just also maybe just not wanting to spend literally all my time doing this stuff, then it's good to like I think for me to just do the live at the moment, but then maybe it's not to say like I don't want to do the videos. Sometimes I do, and then I just like kind of like I don't know. It can be no, I don't want to say it can be a bit of work to do like the stuff afterwards in terms of like the uploading and stuff, because it's not a lot of work at all really. But I think the way that it's kind of working at the moment is that if I was to do a normal video, then do a live at like, for example, 9:30, 11 was the one yesterday. 1 is like they're pretty close together, so it's sort of like as much as I want to do the videos, it kind of just it hasn't really made sense to do the video alongside as well as the live at the moment. Like if I was to do a live in the evening, for example, which I won't do at the moment, then that would kind of make more sense to do a video in the day. A bit like Mike, who Ahmed. Hello, mate. Ahmed says, "Hey, mate, how you doing?" I'm doing all right, thank you, mate. How are you? Bit of an early start this one, isn't it? But yeah, Ahmed, you know Mike, and because Mike does like a video in the day and then the lives in the evening, and I think that works really well. I think if I was to do a video like my normal videos and then a live, I'd want them to be spread out. So again, like it's not that I don't want to do the videos. It's just is it can feel like quite congested otherwise if I've got the live anyway, and these can go on for like an hour plus, and then doing a video, I think for me it would feel a bit forced when they are quite close together, whereas if I had the bigger distance in time, then it wouldn't feel that way. But again, like I don't necessarily want to do that at the moment, because I obviously have other things going on that I want to be doing outside of just yeah. Ahmed says, I mean, it's your channel, mate, you can do what feels right at the moment. Exactly, mate. Yeah, I think Ahmed also says I'm quite fine, thanks. Awesome, mate. I hope your shift goes well today, mate. At the cafe, it's very exciting. Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes I'm thinking, I say sometimes, like maybe like today and yesterday, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should be doing the videos as well, because that will help with like the channel growing. But then I'm also like, I'm enjoying the lives. I think the lives can be useful and a nice way of interacting. I don't have to do anything, like again, like it is obviously my choice to do the videos when I want to do the videos, do the lives when I want to do the lives, and just kind of play it by ear, and um what's another phrase I can use? Take it as it comes, I guess. And just I think just switching it up a bit, because I can't speak. Obviously, excuse me, gone from doing just videos to now, like I think I did 1 or 2 where it was like a video on the day that I also do a live, and now it's just sort of been the lives. And the shorts have come in as well, which it's been quite fun to edit. Edit as in like literally remix, not actually edit them. But yeah, I think, yeah, Ahmed, I appreciate you saying that, like, because So, like, sometimes I need to be reminded that, um, it is what I want it to be, and primarily it's like it is my channel to do what I wanna do with it, and at the moment, what I wanna do with it is just kind of put the time, which I am doing anyway. I apart from so I prepared for this live last night just 'cause it's not as much reading, but then the previous ones has been like um the morning of doing quite a lot of reading for it, like a couple of hours potentially, or like an hour, 2 hours, three, whatever it is. I don't know. Quite a bit of time anyway. Um, and then doing the live to then do a video later. It's just like it would feel a bit forced for me because it's already quite a lot of work going into like the reading, which is obviously for the course, but it's also doing the reading. So I've got the information, great, but also doing the reading. So I've got the information, so I can then talk about it. And it can be a bit exhausting. But I'm really enjoying it. Like, not take nothing away from that. It's just to then obviously do another video. Um, I think is a bit much at the moment. Ahmed says, um, did I read that bit? The shift is starting in 4 hours. Oh, that's sick, mate. Well, you got a bit of time then to chill, I suppose, and yeah, I hope that it goes well. Let us know how it goes, obviously, um, when that's like tomorrow or in the comments or anything. But yeah, best of luck for that, mate. I'm sure it'll be great as well. Have you got any experience in like cafes and stuff? Um, or do you just like going to them like I do? And then Ahmed says, haha, no worries, mate, just the facts. Yeah, I appreciate that, mate. It is the facts. It's obviously yeah, it's my channel, and yeah. By the way, I'm saying it's my channel. No one's said anything that they want more videos or they want more. You know, it's just in my head. I'm thinking, what what should I be doing? But actually, it's like, what do I want to be doing? It's an important thing. Right. Sorry if you can hear a siren outside. Hopefully that will go in a minute. Um, Ahmed says, I'll let you know, mate. And yes, I also have experience in multiple cafes, so I feel like it'll be easy to get used to the new cafe hat. Oh, that's great, mate. Can you do the latte art with the frothed milk? That's something that me and my girlfriend are trying to practice. Well, especially my girlfriend. I'm not very good. I started out trying to do it, but I'm not very good. Something to learn, definitely. Ahmed says, honestly, sometimes, but not always. And then a funny emoji, like the tears. All right. Well, I think there's, well, and the participants are just as me and you. So I don't want to like, I want it to obviously be enjoyable for you too, Ahmed. So I think I'll get into it and then hopefully people will join um, during like the reading so that they don't join at the end. I know that happened yesterday because I also kind of got through the content pretty quickly. And it's just an awkward time this morning, but it's kind of a time that worked for me. So I thought, why not? Also, just kind of saying again, I have set up that buy me a coffee. I took out the bit in like the description and in the post where it was like, um, you can also donate and stuff because I don't know. Although I think if you were to go on the link, people can see that anyway. And I'll mention like um I think I mentioned on the post on Buy Me a Coffee about how you can donate, but there's no pressure. And again, like I don't know how I feel about people donating to me. But so I also took that out of like yeah the post on YouTube and the comments and um what else like the description I think it was because I want it primarily to be somewhere where I am just um what's the word posting on Buy Me a Coffee the summaries of the videos so it can be quite a useful accessible way for people that can't watch the videos or don't want to watch the videos but maybe still want to learn about the topics I'm talking about. So yeah, cool. Um, But if any of you, well, I say if any of you, I know Ahmed, I think you're the only one in here, but if you or anyone watching the video after I finish the live and want to check it out, then that'd be great, and let me know what you think of the post and if you find it useful, I guess. I guess also like if you sorry, if you have watched the video and want to like refresh your memory, Sean doing stuff. Hey Bob and everyone. Hello mate, how are we doing? Doing alright, mate? Sorry, I'm feeling a bit doing alright, mate? Yeah, how you doing, Sean? I hope you're doing well. What time is it where you are then, Sean? I imagine it's quite a bit later afternoon. If I remember last time it was in the evening, so Ahmed says, "Hey Sean," a little but yeah, if anyone like watched the videos and then wanted to read up about it to refresh their memory or just to kind of like get a summary of it, then yeah, the buy me coffee link will kind of I'll be creating the summaries and doing that there, just as a different platform. And obviously there is that donate option, but and to be honest, I did kind of start out because I thought, oh, if anyone did want to do that, then that's lovely. But then the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, yes, if people want to do that, awesome. But I'm not going to kind of I'm going to make it more about the posting, and then people will go on that link and see that they can donate if they wanted to. But again, this I don't want it to be like asking for that, and I hope it didn't come across like that in the post. But yeah, it was more just saying the fact that that is an option. Sean says 1540, so 340, where you are, and Sean says hi, Ahmed. Cool. Well, so shall we go? Should we get into it? Let's get into it. Maybe some more people will join in a bit. It is a bit of an awkward time if you're here in the UK, because it's only 9:42, and I know people might be at work or just busy, and it's kind of early for some people. So, power in therapy is the topic today. Um, the complexities of the power differential present in the therapeutic process. Um, is what I'm referencing, and that's by Amber Lee Green. And I just realised that I think I need to go back onto one of I think maybe yesterday's video and just put in the comments, skip to 10 minutes or something. Um, if you actually want to, if you only want to hear about the client centered therapy stuff, because I think I was talking for like 10 minutes about like buy me a coffee and just other things like the buy me a coffee like link and website and whatever. So let's get into it. Power is unavoidable and inescapable in therapy. The term power differential, I never know how to do it, represents the fact that individuals have varied levels within a therapy session and beyond. Okay. Unless online, power is instigated from the off as the client travels to the therapist's place of work. Zer, who is I think just a scholar or academic or someone that writes articles. I don't know if they're a psychologist, but anyway, yeah. Zer speculated how certain traditions fabricated the belief of the distinction of power between therapist and client. By the way, if I'm struggling with my words, it's because I can't read my writing. um, he highlighted three myths. I put months. Three myths about power in relation to transference, boundaries, and feminism. So, if we look at transference first, this is where a client addresses and responds to a therapist as if they are a person from the client's past. Freud saw this as healing, and Carl Jung, so Sigmund Freud, saw this as healing, and Carl Jung viewed it as a natural process. However, Zer pointed out that redirection of these past feelings often resulted in regression due to the initial direction aimed for a parent. How a client responds to therapy is based on past experiences to some extent, such as experiences of power with parents. instantly the client is puerile, I think that's how you say it, which is like childish or childlike, and lost when they feel childlike with the therapist. So it puts them in that position, um, or it can put them in that position if they're feeling um, this power dynamic. Okay, does that make sense so far? Hopefully. Secondly, boundaries are of importance due to its ethical or their ethical ties. It is believed that crossing boundaries in therapy can lead to destruction and mistreatment. Ahmed says, yep, it does. Cool. Um, this suggests, and once again, I am drawing information from this source that I've been reading, and it will be word for word in some ways. Sean says you should get something like the Remarkable Pro tablet for taking notes and managing your research. Oh, cool, mate. Yeah, I will definitely look into that. I normally like use my laptop and just kind of make notes on there, but because of the lives, it's kind of made sense to have it on here. But yeah, something that I could also have while I do the lives, such as that, would be really cool. Actually, while we are, I'll make a note on my phone. Otherwise, I might not be able to find your comment, Sean. Is it Remarkable Paper Pro, maybe? Oh, this looks very cool. That looks awesome. I mean, I might have to save up a bit for that, Sean, but that does look really cool. Okay, let's carry on. So I'll say that bit again. It's believed that crossing boundaries in therapy can lead to destruction and mistreatment. This suggests that all clients are naive and have no self-control, whereas therapists have dominative power over clients that turns self-disclosure into a relationship that can't be recovered or go back to normal, return to normal. So this removes power from a client and gives it to the therapist. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So Sean says writing notes is better as it helps you remember them better than typing notes. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I have found that writing these notes, and also for me personally as well, doing the lives and talking through it and then interacting with people in the lives has been another way of consolidating the knowledge and the things that I'm learning. So I appreciate you all for coming along and interacting, because it does really help me. Obviously, this is like my career. Like, obviously, it will be my career. I don't say it's my career, but it's what I'm training to do, becoming a therapist. So, the more I can interact with people and have these discussions and talk through the topics and the theories and learn on. Obviously, I'm learning on the go as well. It's brilliant. I'm very grateful. So, thank you. Hope that bit made sense on the boundaries. Finally, power in relation to feminism is significant. The focus on male therapists having male dominance over women, male dominance, oh wait, quote, male dominance over women, end of quote, that's what I meant. Positions particular groups of clients, mainly women, as vulnerable and powerless. So that's what the is saying, is that is it yeah yeah, so there's this myth around, or maybe this bias, maybe an unconscious bias even, that male therapists will have power, male dominance and power over women, but I suppose it all kind of links to like stereotypes and things like that. So yeah, and these three myths could deteriorate the therapeutic relationship from the off. And then if we move on to types of power, the involvement of finance. I'm just going to check on. Yeah, we're okay. Types of power. The involvement of finance provides large amounts of power in therapy, or a large amount of power in therapy, but the distribution of power is indefinite, as a majority of it could lie with the therapist, as a financial disguise to take advantage of a client and highlight an instant inequality and power that money can supply. However, payment for a service can be liberating for a client, as it offers the power to um, regulate the nature of therapy, the quality of discussion, etc. So I think it's kind of the idea that as a paying client, you you're almost like, I guess you're feeling a sense of you've committed to it financially. So that might mean that you're also more likely to well, it would mean in some respects that you're more likely to want to get the most out of it and um ensure, at least on your part, the quality of discussion and the things you're talking about, etc., etc. Because it's not to say there aren't going to be lots of defenses and things you're not going to want to talk about. That's normal. You're going to have your guard up, and you're going to have to kind of work through what exactly you want to discuss, and that takes time. There are going to be things that you don't want to discuss, and eventually you might want to discuss them. This is all part of like the nature of therapy. But yeah, what I was saying is that it's kind of, I think it's saying that there is some power in the client paying for it and freedom because um they're they have an interest in the success of the therapy, the same way that the therapist also has an interest because it's their job and because um well, hopefully they're a good person and they want to feel like they're earning their money and also everything else that comes with wanting to ensure the success for both that goes beyond just financial reasons. Does that make sense? Let me know. Mike, hello, hey all, hello Mike, how are we doing? Sean says hi Mike. Ahmed says hey Mike with a funny emoji. um, and Heliotropo says hi Bub. Sorry if I just butchered your name. Hi guys. Oh, it's good to see you back, mate. Amazing. Um, yeah, how are you? Oh, can't speak. How you doing, Mike? And how you doing, Heliotropo? Um, you've only missed a double page worth of um content on power and therapy so far, which is really good actually, because I still got a double page and a bit. So you haven't missed too much, don't worry. And even so, it's still, I mean, it's still going to be great to have chats, isn't it? And I understand that this is a difficult hour to be doing this, I think anyway. Um, right. Hello Tropo says that's correct. Cool. Um, okay. The contract that brings client and therapist together to empower the client to provide empathy and support is the only reason that the session can occur. So um, let's assume that all therapy sessions or all initiations um, of therapy have a contract. The lack of contract suggests that the empathy and support a therapist um, mm, suggests that the empathy and support a therapist um, has the potential to provide, sorry, isn't available to the client. The power to start, participate, and end therapy lies in the contract, which is written up by the therapist. Um, in contrast, health professions use contracts to liberate, empower the client, and help retreat from dependency by providing a signified end of the contract. So, um, to be honest, this bit I was reading and I was a bit like, well, I don't know. I'm not too sure about whether things like CBT, which might be like 8 weeks long, 12 weeks long, whatever it is, like 4 weeks long, even, depending on the type of CBT and the type of therapy. I don't know whether they would have. I know that some sessions will be, and um some will kind of lay out. We will have 8 sessions together, so I don't know whether that's like too broad a statement in this article to say that. I think it's suggesting kind of um actually, maybe it isn't. Mm, yeah, I was wondering whether it's kind of saying that the end isn't set out from the off, and so the therapist will kind of say, I don't want to carry on anymore. But I do think that the client also, well, from my experience having therapy, I feel like I have the power to like end the not end the sessions, end the therapy on as a whole when I wish to. I don't know if I signed a contract. I can't really remember for my therapy. Um, Probably did, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, going off on a tangent. So next, vulnerable client. Reparenting can take shape actively or passively in each therapeutic alliance. Transference can elicit feelings from a client directed at a parent in childhood. Parents can unknowingly seize the child's power simply by doing things the child can do themselves. Telling children to do as they're told removes their power for inquisitiveness. Emotions elicited in a child from these experiences span. What does that say? Mm, okay, yeah. Span from fear and I wish I sorry everyone. I wish I could read my handwriting, honestly. Um, I'm gonna say fear. I'll just say fear. To resistance, and the remains. Um, and this remains and is reflected in relationships with powerful surrogates in in adult life. For example, a therapist. The bond between this idea and the power differential in therapy is that so there's like an equating of the parent-child relationship to the therapist-client relationship. So seeing parallels between the two different types of relationship. Does that make sense, everyone? Sorry, I didn't read that very well, but is everyone sort of keeping track so far? I hope so. And once I've read through this, we can talk about anything for a bit. um, yeah, maybe give me a little thumbs up if everything's all right so far, and let me know if Ahmed says yes, yes. Let me know if you want any clarification. I think when I was reading this, I was trying to make sure that I understood it all. There might be bits that I wasn't too sure about, but yeah, I think there were actually. A therapist must be aware that their nurturing, compassionate role may resemble a parent, but it's important to remain a therapist. While many therapists are considered omnipotent, so all powerful and compelling, many many clients are seen as defenseless and fragile. Clients can be in powerful positions in their career, for example, and not correspond with the victim stereotype that's created where the client is seen as defenseless and fragile. Um, Dialogue and everybody knows is this next bit. The fact that a large amount of speaking will come from the client means that the therapist holds more knowledge and information about the client than the client does the therapist. Interactions between client and therapist are influenced to some extent by childhood experiences and cultural expectations of what the therapist will do with the information shared. Um, and I presume what the article is saying, what they'll do with the information shared, not in terms of like confidentiality, but more in terms of like productive, like being productive and being able to help the client work through the information that is shared and work through their experiences and their issues, I suppose. Um, Thus, the client and therapist fall into established roles, um, which are called common. How do I do this? Quote common sense, end of quote, expectations that quote everybody knows, end of quote. Thus, power is distributed based on this. To go against the expectations of the client would be to reduce the personal power of the therapist and depict inconsistency. I think we could consider, this is my note, I think we could consider unconscious bias here as well. And the final bit, I don't know how I'm going to clip a short out of this because I have taken word for word in quite a lot of instances because it's quite hard to word it myself. Maybe I could have done that, but Who knows? Maybe I won't clip a short. Maybe I'll clip a short out of something that we end up talking about after. um, I am enjoying the shorts though. Abuse of power. The therapist has easy access to an amount of power that can damage the client within therapy and continuing in subsequent relationships. Because I suppose, well, I don't suppose, like the client could potentially be disclosing things that they hadn't disclosed to anyone else. Very, very like the most personal things about themselves and their experiences, and the therapist has to hold that. And if they were going about things unethically, they could, yeah, they do have the potential to cause a lot of damage to the client and everything. Yeah. Winehold, I think is this person, argued counselling can be comparable to oppression, quote, robbing people, end of quote, of the natural power they possess. Um, I think that's quite a severe take on counselling and therapy. However, I think there is some truth in that. But or well, I don't think it's robbing people, but I think if the therapist was exploiting the client, then it is essentially um, yeah, it's taking away the client's power and putting it with the therapist, and then the whole dynamic is therapist having the ability to overpower client and holding, I guess, having leverage over the client in terms of like if they were unethical again. That's actually it. That's it for power in therapy. Does anyone have any questions? I'll be honest, I think with these earlier topics, with these are from term one. Um, I am actually I'm sort of refreshing my memory as well. Um, my lecture was actually on power, gender, and race, which is why initially I called when I was referring to what I was doing today, I was calling it that. But because I don't want to reference my lectures because I'm scared about plagiarism and stuff, and I don't want to like say what uni I go to and everything, then um, yeah, I've decided not to refer to that content, even though that content might be more useful. It's just I don't feel very comfortable doing that. So we're going with the content that I'm reading. Um, yeah, like the articles and stuff. But yeah, so in term when I look at term two stuff, it might be more readily available for me to talk about because it's more recent. So and my memory's not very good. So um, and also I started taking notes from term two. I should have been taking notes during term one, I think, but I started taking notes during the lectures on in term two. So I can also, although um, I don't think I'll discuss them. It'll be good for me to refresh my memory. Has anyone got any questions on what I just spoke about in um, on power and therapy? Sorry, I'm quite tired this morning. Haven't had a coffee yet, maybe. So maybe that's why. If not, then the floor is yours. The floor is yours. And we could talk about anything for however long. If no one really wants to talk about anything, they want to go about their day, then that's obviously absolutely fine. But yeah, I'll put up a little summary. Might put no coffee and a funny emoji. Um, um, yeah, no coffee yet, Mike. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm also going to put out a summary of this. Sorry, I keep mentioning buy me a coffee. I don't want it to sound like I'm promoting, but I'm just saying that this is something else I'm doing now. So I'll put a summary of this video onto there, and the link you can find on my page, obviously. Heliotropo says, if I don't feel good about my personality or about my feelings because I don't have self-esteem, do I need the get powers? Sorry, would you be able to clarify that if possible, Heliotropo? The last bit, do I need the get powered? I'm not too sure what you mean there. Just I don't want to start saying something that's not what you mean. Made sure I've got my water today. I think Ahmed, you were the one that said, "Make sure you have your water." Maybe it was you. Can't remember. Do you mean do I need to get power, like gain power? Is that what you mean? Ahmed says yes, it was me. Haha. um, yes. Do I need to gain power? Again, like I just want to preface saying I'm not qualified. I'm not experienced enough to kind of, especially when obviously I don't have a lot of context. And this is obviously this because you can't give me loads of context how you drop out. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I need more context, but like um I'm just saying obviously I don't know about your life and everything. So and I'm not qualified to kind of um say what what's what, if you know what I mean. That's I don't want it to be a cop out. But if I don't feel good about my personality, I hope you don't mind me reading this out. Or about my feelings because I don't have self-esteem, do I need to gain power? Um I think that's it's really tricky, isn't it? I think that's if you were to have therapy, for example, the therapist might look at again what we talk about with like what are the power dynamics like in your life and maybe in your childhood, and considering where you're positioned in within these power dynamics. Does that make sense? And see, this is kind of like my answer when I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know enough about your situation. So, but I would imagine that a therapist might want to be looking at that and thinking about why you don't have self esteem and why you don't feel good about your personality. Sean, I think he was saying, I think heliotrope. Sorry, heliotropo. Are you is it he? Sorry, I just want to make sure that. Sean says, "What do you mean by to get powered?" I think heliotropo means to gain power. Um, and yeah, apologies if um you don't go by he, if you know what I mean. I just kind of um automatically said he then. So anyway. But yeah, I hope that kind of gives some kind of answer. That's my opinion. That if you were to see a therapist, again, like not to say you would go and see a therapist, but it could be something to consider because there is power in everything, isn't there? And that's a very general statement, actually. But you know what I mean? Like power dynamics exist everywhere, don't they? And although these can change, it can be something to consider where you position yourself and what kind of role that you take on in your different relationships, be that like if you have a partner, with your family, with your friends, and um, that might come into it in relation to self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. But then I think there's also going to be a multitude of other things that you would want to consider. So I don't like. Okay, so I guess my answer is I don't think that um, it's it's necessarily about gaining power. I think there's probably again I don't have context on um, your life and you. So I couldn't really give an answer, but my answer, yeah, would be I think there's a lot more to it than just considering that. And um, yeah, is that a really rubbish answer? I don't know. Um, but that was just my take on it. And heliotropo was is it right to refer to you as he? I don't know because I don't know what your profile picture is, and even then I wouldn't know if you go by he. Don't worry about clarifying that, but I didn't want to like offend you. 'Cause I get anxious sometimes, don't know if you some of you could notice that, but, I overthink. Yeah. Anything else we wanted to talk about? I hope that was alright, heliotropo. I hope that was some answer, probably not the best answer. Anyone else got anything? Um Don't know if Mike's still here. He might have had to head off. Um, yeah, if any of you have got any other things you want to talk about, and obviously, again, there's no hello Tropo says, sorry, remember yeah, of course, mate, absolutely. Um, and yeah, no, I completely get that. And I hope that um the way that I'm talking about things makes sense to you. I don't know um whether no, I don't know how to sound I don't want to sound passionate here, but I don't because I do speak quite quickly and things like that. I hope that you can understand um what I'm saying as well. If that makes sense. Uh, Mike says, I'm here. Awesome, mate. Sean says, Bob, is there a term for someone with too much self-esteem, where having too much is also negative? Um, I'm trying to think now. Words come to mind, but I don't know if that they would be the right words. Um, Let me have a think. The things that come into mind are like inflated ego, but that's like kind of that's not a term like that, is it? And then again, I don't really think it would be the same thing, but like delusions of grandeur and delusions of like thinking that um you well, I yeah, I don't know how to even explain delusions of grandeur because it's a word that it's a phrase that even I have to remind myself what it means, but that's another one that I was thinking of. Uh, I guess in the more like colloquial sense, like arrogance. I don't know, but in terms of like, I imagine you're thinking of like a more psychology specific term, and unfortunately, my mind has gone a bit blank. But they were the ones that I was thinking of initially. Oh no, there is what is it? Hmm. I guess like maybe delusional. I don't know about delusional. I don't know, if, but like delusions of grandeur. I guess. One second. What I'm gonna do, because I am thinking of something, but as you know, I am ego metrics. Um, Hello Tropa says something like ego electrics. Inflated ego also fits, I guess. Well, I was thinking, let me just Google the Google this first. Bear with me a second, everyone. You could chat among yourselves if you want. Mm. Mm. So this is actually yeah, this is what I was thinking as well. Is that, and this is obviously this is a personality disorder, so narcissistic personality disorder. So I've only done a quick Google here, but I was thinking about how that might come into it, and how people with MPD or narcissistic personality disorder might appear to have high self-esteem, but and this is what this just like a Google search says, and yeah, so it's like it's what researchers call fragile high self-esteem. It's a form of high self-esteem dependent on external validation and self-deception. So, um, does that make sense? Yeah, so it might appear that they have extremely high self-esteem, but it might not actually be like true high self-esteem. It might just be, or like it might be more related to this being a fragile and vulnerable sense of self. Um, yeah, does that make sense? Sorry, I keep saying, does that make sense? I think I need my coffee. Um, what else do we want to talk about? Mike, have you got anything you want to chat about, mate? And everyone else. It's because I thought Mike had gone and he's back in. And I know Mike likes to chat. He'll say that himself, don't worry. um, so I thought I would see. Yeah, do we anything else you want to talk about, everyone? Sean says yes, that's interesting. Cool. Thank you, mate. Yeah, got football later, which will be fun. Um, yeah, looking forward to that. Just talking now. um, I want to do some stuff, some tidying and things around the house, around the flat, and apply for more jobs. I applied for a few jobs yesterday. Um, I heard back from the agency about um, the job that I was hoping to start at the start of this month or like very end of last month, and it's kind of that I'm gonna still have to wait potentially a few weeks. So I'm definitely gonna apply for more jobs because I don't even know if they have something for me. This agency, so that's quite frustrating. I found that yesterday. I found that out yesterday, but what can you do? Such is life. Um, and I'll keep looking for more things. It might, I mean, it will work out in the end, and I know that I will find a job. Just hopefully the sooner the better. Because obviously need a job, need to be earning, and I also like it gives me a sense of purpose in that sense. Although I'm really enjoying doing the YouTubey stuff, YouTubey the YouTube stuff. It's I will still be doing the YouTube stuff, but like putting more time into this. I won't be continuing to like put as much time in when I have a full-time job. It's just something to kind of complement it, I guess. But definitely something that I want to um keep putting time into because yeah, I'm really enjoying it and I hope everyone's enjoying s- this as well. Sorry, I feel like I've got quite low energy this morning because it's quite early. Well, it's not that early, but because I haven't had my coffee properly. Ahmed says, yes, yes, it takes time to get calls from companies. Yeah, definitely, mate. Calls, emails, um, whatever it is. But I'm hopeful, and all I can do is keep applying for more. And Sean says, um, what types of jobs are you looking for? And then he says, Ahmed, how's your new job going? Um, so Sean, I'm applying for um, any sort of mental health jobs, to be honest. Any sort of mental health jobs, working in schools, ideally, again, like mental health related jobs within schools, but also maybe like a teaching assistant or something like that. Just any jobs within schools because I wanted to do that and I think that would be a really cool experience. And Ahmed says, I'm starting today in like 4 hours, so I will let you know. Thanks for asking, Sean. Heliotropo says, a therapist hasn't all the power over his client. No, no, he doesn't. And I think although um there's this kind of so I'll refer back to these. So if I come back to this, um, there's kind of this expectation which is almost needed for therapy to work in some ways, where the client will have expectations about what the therapist can do for them. Not do for them, but like has expectations about the role of a therapist and I guess what they can do for them in terms of the therapist can facilitate the conversation and create this therapeutic relationship um, on their end and this environment. And obviously everything else like the skills and the strategies and um, the techniques that the therapist has. So there is a sense of like power distribution there where the therapist is you're coming to the therapist and you're coming to the therapist's space physically or metaphorically and um, having expectations about, well, ideally I guess you have an expectation that this will work and this will improve your life, and the therapist is the one that is in some ways going to help facilitate that, although the work needs to be done by you, that you are probably going to the therapist thinking this therapist will help me um, as a fundamental kind of expectation. So yeah, and again, we might have this unconscious bias where we do think that the therapist is all knowing um, and all powerful, um, and the client might feel like they're um, and going to these sessions as someone that is very vulnerable. So they might kind of view the power dynamic as themselves being holding less power and the therapist holding more power. But I suppose that's not always going to be a bad thing because um, they're seeing the therapist as someone that can help them and as someone that has knowledge and skills to be able to help them. So I think maybe that comes into it. It's then when the power, the natural power that the therapist will have um, in terms of having access to the client's lives, I suppose, and experiences and information that the client is sharing, that can then be abused. And if the therapist is unethical and then they hold more power and um yeah, because the therapist knows a lot more about you than you know about therapists, which kind of what I was talking about earlier. And but it's like the power distribution is going to be different in every therapy session, depending on the client's personality, the therapist's personality. The whole dynamic is kind of, although there are going to be those established roles which I talk about, client, therapist, and the power distribution, this is going to vary depending on personalities. It's a bit of a convoluted and generalized answer, but I hope that kind of makes sense. There I am again asking that. Yeah, I'm just gonna have a little look. But no, I don't think at all that the therapist has all the power over the client. I think that the power is distributed and can fluctuate, and it really depends. um, Mike says, "Good luck today, Ahmed." Sean says, "I'm sure it'll go great." Ahmed says, "I will, Sean. Thanks again." Um, yeah, is there anything else we want to talk about? I'll go until 10:30. So let me know if you want to chat about anything else. And thank you all for your interactions and comments so far. It's been really nice chatting about things. So Hello Trouble says, so is it about the expectations or maybe about the skills of the therapist? Um, excuse me. I think it's both. I think if we think about client-centered therapy, yesterday's video and the one before, day before, um, the therapist is kind of the figure of someone who is appearing well, so someone that's congruent, someone that is um, showing empathy towards the client, is showing unconditional positive regard towards the client, is non-judgmental, all these things. So they're kind of these are also things that the client will probably have some expectation about the therapist where although they might feel judged and things like that, it's kind of the therapist will be creating this environment and this safe space which will facilitate the conversations and will make the client feel as if they can be open and they can share, um, like the potentially like the worst things that they don't want to talk about. And so I guess there then comes in like the skills of the therapist, that it is going to be a skill and learning skills to actually create this environment and create the therapeutic relationship, which does also rely on the client um, experiencing the therapist as someone that is doing these things to some extent. It needs to be kind of like both both putting in the effort, obviously. Um, does that make sense? So, but yeah, the expectations will be very, very like kind of basic. Like the client will go wanting um the what am I saying? Um, sorry, I just saw. Sorry, Matt. This is not your fault at all. I just saw your message pop up and I got distracted. um, but the client will go with the basic expectation that the therapist will be able to help them, um, and then it's the therapist which will demonstrate these skills, which will help the client, and the client will, as a result of the therapist's skills, techniques, experience, who they how they are as a person, um, like if they're being all these things like congruent, um, empathic, what else we got? Non-judgmental, um, etc., displaying unconditional positive regard, then the client will be able to do that work, which the client is the one that's going to be doing the work outside the sessions and during the sessions, because the client needs to, um, if we think about client centered again, work towards striving for their full potential and work towards congruence as well, and sort of being their authentic self in a kind of loose way of describing it. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Mike says, "What do you think would be your ideal job while you're training to become a therapist?" What a question, Mike. What a question. To be honest, I do think when I this is going back a couple of months ago now. When I did think, although I didn't really think it was going to be like this, when I did think that I'd got a job as a mental health assistant in a school, which turned out it was I got a job. I I kind of it basically initiated discussions with an agency, which wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. But I would say that um, the ideal job for me, it's hard to know because all these different jobs come up and you're like, oh, that would be really cool. But I do think um, it would be working in a school with a mental health position, whatever that might be, when that's kind of like, again, like mental health assistant, some kind of learning mentor, even, whatever that really means, learning coach, whatever that actually means. But I think one of the, yeah, I don't know. I think these kind of job titles can really fluctuate. It's quite hard to know um, what's what really. But yeah, learning mental health assistant, learning coach, pastoral something, and um, yeah, I don't know. Either working in a school or hmm, I don't know. I think I could carry on doing things that doing a job, like doing a different job, but again being related to homelessness. Again, but I do think I would quite like to broaden my kind of experience by doing work with different, um, I guess, different demographics or different, um, yeah, like again, like younger people. So before I was working in the kind of age category of like from 13 up to, I mean, with adults, but like 13 to 25. but also parents. Whereas I would like to potentially work in and with like in a primary school or a secondary school. So that would be um, even younger children or um, young people. So that could, yeah. I mean, the age varies again, but um, I think it's all about me learning different skills and getting more experience with different groups of people, with all these kind of different needs and um, yeah, all these sort of things. Does that make sense? Like, I don't really know though. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. Okay. Um, Ahmed says I had a therapist and she was kind of making me feel bad. Um, making me feel bad. Yeah, like she was telling me that I was in a really bad situation. I had to get more sessions. I was in a bad place, but it felt odd. What do you think? Um, Again, I'm hesitant to kind of comment on someone that is obviously a therapist and a professional, and um, but I also don't want to kind of how do I say it? I don't want to lead you in any direction, and kind of again, it's not really my place, but I think she's kind of making me feel bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry that she made you feel bad, mate, and you felt as if um yeah that wasn't obviously a nice experience for you. Um, Again, I feel like I don't know how much I want to kind of say because um but in my opinion that could have been a negative. That could have been not the right thing. Well, it clearly wasn't the right thing to do for you because you felt like this was a negative experience, and the fact that she was obviously telling you that you're in a really bad situation, I assume, well, I presume that probably made you feel worse. Like, I don't know, did that validate how you're feeling to know that you are in a bad situation and the reality is that, or did that make you feel like, oh, did you feel like the therapist didn't have faith in you or didn't kind of have faith in the fact that you could improve? I don't know how, or maybe do you feel like, um, what was I going to say? Um, Did you feel like what was I saying? What was I saying? Did you feel like maybe they were suggesting that you have more sessions because you needed more time to work on the things because you were in a bad place? And I guess in that sense that does make sense. Um, but I guess you experienced it as her almost saying you need this. When did that feel a bit like the power's been taken? Talk about power, like the power being taken from you because you wanted to feel like you were kind of um, getting to decide whether you have more sessions, things like that. I don't know. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there. But I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted again by the comments, and again, that's nothing to do with you, all of you. That's just me and my attention. Um, Hel- so should we call you Helio? I see that Shorts call you Helio. Um, Thank you all guys for being patient with me. I'm learning a lot. Sean says, Helio, patient. English is hard. You don't need to apologize for being a learner. Helio says, thank you, Sean. Yeah, Helio, thank you so much for coming along to these. And I think again, I don't want to like praise you and I don't want it to feel patronizing, but I think it is amazing that you're able to kind of well not able that you're coming here and learning things and especially when you're learning English is one thing and then learning English when someone's talking this quickly and talking absolute rubbish. I was joking. Is like when I'm going through all this content, it must be very difficult for you to keep up. So I got a lot of respect for you, mate. And Helio says, and I'm fighting with the corrector. Haha, that's funny. But yeah, I've got a lot of respect for you, mate, and I really appreciate all the support and the fact that you're interacting and asking questions, especially when you're learning English and you're asking the questions in English, and then you're responding in English, and you're taking on the information I'm giving, which is in English, and I honestly can't imagine what that is like because I wouldn't be able to do that in a different language. So yeah, fair play to you, mate. Ahmed, did that help? Not help, but did that kind of was that productive? Like what I was talking about? I don't know. Again, like I obviously don't have the context, so I'm only going off what you've said, but I can see how maybe it would make sense that she'd be saying, "Oh, well, she feels like you need more sessions because maybe you hadn't unpacked or been able to unpack a lot of the things that were making you feel bad." But at the same time, I understand from your perspective that you might have felt like you were being told that you need more sessions, and then I would imagine you might feel a bit like it's your decision how long, how far you go, and like how many sessions you have. And I think obviously when are in a bad place, um, I don't know, yeah, how you're experiencing the therapist, like you yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Ahmed? Um, I mean, you've asked me, but I'm wondering what you think. And I will actually need to stop in 2 minutes. So, Ahmed, if you put a comment and if you want to say anything more, but then if not, thank you all for coming, and I hope that this has been a good discussion. I'll wait for Ahmed, and then I will end the live, and I'll be back tomorrow. What am I talking about tomorrow? I'll let you know. I'll put a post out because I can't remember. I don't know if Ahmed's going to respond. Ahmed, if you want to, I don't know if Ahmed's here. Ahmed, if you want to, if you're watching this back, if you want to put a comment or anything, then in the video afterwards or in the live, then and whatever, then obviously feel free to. Mike says, "Are you just doing lives now, bub?" Yeah, Mike, I think I said it funnily, like not funnily, um, coincidentally, maybe not. Anyway, I was actually speaking about that. I think it was just before you got on, and I think for the time being, I'm gonna do the lives just because like, I go on for like an hour or something, don't I? Sometimes, so I think this is almost enough for me now. But then I will obviously do the videos when I feel like I have time when I want to, and um, I just don't want to like exhaust myself with like too much of the YouTube stuff. When I'm also doing the notes for this and like everything else that's going on in my life. So I think for the time being, it'll be the lives, and then um, when basically just when I feel like I want to and when I can do the videos, and then there will obviously come a point where I can't do the lives when I'm back working full time, and it might be very spontaneous doing lives from then. Um, yeah, so I'll be back to I'll be back to videos in the fairly near future, depending on when I get a full time job. Um, but in the meantime, yeah, I'll keep doing the lives. There might be days where I can't do the lives, and obviously that's cool. um, but I do obviously also love doing the videos, and I think the videos um, are great. Are great in terms of like just being a different thing for me to do. I don't mean they're great, but that's for everyone else's side. I enjoy them, but yeah. Um, Mike says, "Yeah, that makes sense." Sean says, "Yes, very interesting." Ahmed says, "I mean, I was in a bad situation, that's for sure, but her saying things like, 'Hey, you need more sessions,' kind of made me feel like I was at a point with no turn and had to spend more." Hope that makes sense. Absolutely, Ahmed. And I felt like I was thinking you would feel like that, and and I can definitely, um, I was gonna, yeah, I'm sorry you felt like that, mate, because that does suck, and that, to be honest, when you said that, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to kind of like push my narrative too much because that didn't feel right. And I'm glad that you kind of shared that. So yeah, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Mike says I enjoy the live, so it's all good. Sick, mate. Awesome. Well, on that note, I'm going to end this. And Ahmed says, "Did you leave that therapist?" No. Helio says, "Ahmed, did you leave that therapist?" I'll let Ahmed just respond to that, and then I will end this 'cause I don't want to cut off when Helio's just asked a question. Um, yeah, I did. Helio. Cool. Ahmed says, "All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and yeah, I really appreciate you all coming along. Um, and yeah, all of you are actually people that have consistently joined me, and I just think that's amazing. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and take care. And I'll be back tomorrow talking about something. I'll be, again, not to promote, but I'll be putting up a summary on Buy Me a Coffee if you want to read that a bit later at some point. And yeah, take care, everyone. Mike says, have an awesome day, everyone. You too, mate. Elio says, thank you so much. Sean says, Ahmed, my girlfriend's therapist, said she needed more sessions without explaining how many more. We were suspicious that it was just therapist wanting to keep her paying. Thanks for sharing that, Sean. I am going to end this now. Ahmed says, and I don't, maybe I wasn't thinking through. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Is that, obviously you two can chat about that, but I do need to end that now. All right, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.